Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على نبيه ومصطفاه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. Dear viewers everywhere, welcome to another live edition of your program, Ask Huda. A quick reminder with our contact informations, phone numbers area code 002-0238-555-249, area code 002-011-2500-8679, and email address ask@huda.tv, and the Facebook page is Dr. Muhammad Salah Official. We'll be more than happy to start receiving your valuable calls and concerns, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. We have our first caller, Brother Hamid from the KSA. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Hamid.
Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dr. Salah, how are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking. How are you, brother?
I wish you all the best for this wonderful program you are doing for a long, long time now. Muslims are benefited by your program.
Jazakallahu khairan. May Allah accept.
I have just one question.
Naam.
If I want to recite, if I want to recite Ayat al-Kursi and Qul huwallahu ahad and Qul a'udhu birabbil falaq, Qul a'udhu birabbil nas in my heart while going to sleep, can I do so?
You want to recite Al-Mu'awwidhat and Ayat al-Kursi, you said when?
Yeah, before going to sleep, I just want to read it, but I want to read it by heart, not by my mouth.
Okay, barakallah feek, jazakallahu khairan. I got your question. Do you have any other questions? Type. What is the recitation? The recitation is reading by the tongue and using your lips. That is called recitation. When you recite by heart alone, that is worded, but this is not recitation. The foreword is promised for the person who recites. He moves his tongue, he utters the letters and the words, and meanwhile his heart is attentive. That is called pondering. And in this case, the foreword is maintained and guaranteed. But if the person is reciting by the heart only, then this is not called recitation. He will be rewarded for that. But this is not the typical recitation that the Prophet ﷺ used to do. Especially with the adhkar before going to sleep, or the adhkar of the morning and the adhkar of the evening. Al-dhikr in general, you can do the dhikr by the heart. You will be sitting quiet, but you are contemplating al-istighfar, saying astaghfirullah without moving your tongue. And you can say it by the tongue. And the best is to say it by both. You recite it, you read it by your tongue, and your heart is attentive. Barakallah feek, Brother Hamid. Sister Fatima Harousi says in her question, which I received on my page, can a married woman give zakah to her son who has finished university, but he has not got a job and he is living with his parents? Well, typically, it is not permissible for the parent to pay his zakah to his children and his descendants, to his children and grandchildren, because if he is wealthy and if he is capable to support his poor children, even if they are grown up, he should do that. And if he is wealthy enough to pay zakah, then the zakah should go to other people, including his brothers and sisters, but not his parents, not his children, not his origin, not his branch, except in some cases. Like if the father is living, and if the father can provide for the son, then it is not the duty nor the responsibility of the mother to provide for the son, because the financial responsibility of providing for the family is solely the duty of the father. So if she has some gold, some money, which is barely zakatable, and she pays the zakah, she must pay it to somebody else. But if the father is not there, and if the father is not there and she is wealthy, then she is the one who's supposed to support the child. The father is there, but the father is making enough to support himself. And the mother has some zakah, and she is not wealthy enough, but she has some enough zakah to pay to somebody. And the son is in need, and she's not required to support him financially. Then in this condition, only in this condition, she may give her zakah to the son. There is another case if the person, whether the father or the mother or the children, so whether the parents or the children who are not supposed to pay zakah to each other, incurred a debt as a result of something external. Somebody was in trouble and he needed a bailout, so your son decided to support him. But he cannot afford now to pay the debt or the loan. In this case, the father, the mother, and everyone should support him from their zakah because he is categorized now as al-gharimin. And al-gharimin, those who are in a big debt and they're not capable to pay it off. So whether it's a son, a daughter, a father or a mother, any of the parents, any of the children, they can support them from their own zakah in this case. Because this is not something that for basic living, like for eating, for drinking, for paying the rent, it's something extra. And they incurred it as a result of supporting somebody else. I hope this mas'ala is clear. But the basic foundation is that one should not pay zakah to his origin, nor to his offspring. Barakallahu feekum. Brother Ibrahim Adam says in his question that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has taught us that we should fill our stomachs with 1/3 of food and 1/3 of drink and leave 1/3 for breath. I want to eat to train and work out, so I have to eat more. Is that okay? Well, the hadith does not exactly say what you said. It's a sound hadith collected by Imam al-Tirmidhi. Sheikh al-Albani, may Allah have mercy on him, authenticated this hadith. He said it's a sound hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, ما ملأ ابن آدم وعاء شرا له من بطنه. And the Prophet ﷺ likened the stomach to a vessel. And he said, the worst filled vessel is the stomach. You should not fill that vessel. You should not fill your stomach. Even if you're invited to a party, a dinner, a walima, an open buffet where you can eat all you can. The Prophet ﷺ said, filling that vessel, that container with food, makes it the worst filled vessel. It is not healthy. It is very dangerous. Not only physiologically, but also morally, because when the person's stomach is full, they say in Arabic, إذا امتلأت المعدة نامت الفكرة. When the person's stomach is full, then he slows down as far as thinking, contemplating, and pondering. He can see that obviously in Ramadan, when some people eat too much, then they can barely pray Isha. And they're struggling to pray Taraweeh, but they can't. They just ate too much. They fail to stand up in prayer. And if they stand up in prayer, they are in pain. Sometimes you see people praying next to you, burden, aching, because they ate too much. So إذا امتلأت المعدة نامت الفكرة. The Prophet ﷺ advised then the following advice. After this call, inshallah, I will share it with you. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Fatima from the KSA, welcome to Ask Huda.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you?
Fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking, Sister Fatima.
Okay, I have 3 questions.
No.
Number 1 question, is there any tawakkul wada for people who are residents at Jeddah?
Okay.
Number 2 question, can somebody perform an umrah for somebody who is sick or the person is very old?
Okay.
Then number 3 question,
No.
I make up my midday of Ramadan.
نعم.
Then I started fasting Sitta Shawwal, but I forget to inform my husband that started fasting.
Okay.
Only the second day of fasting Sitta Shawwal, I remember that, I didn't inform my husband. So that day, around Zuhur, I told him that I started fasting Sitta Shawwal. It's these two Ramadan, the first day and the second day I started fasting. I don't know whether it is valid or not.
Okay. Got it, Sister Fatima. Thank you. Barakallah fiqh. So the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith that we referred to earlier, ما ملأ ابن آدم وعاء شرا له من بطنه. Then he said in the next segment, بحسب ابن آدم لقيمات يقمن صلبه. The Prophet ﷺ was given the most eloquent speech by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at it. That we eat to live, not that we live to eat. The Prophet ﷺ said, enough for you to eat a few bites just to keep you functioning, being able to fulfill your job and to function properly. So eat in order to function, not live to eat. Then he said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the maximum that if you really like a big time eater, he said, فَإِنْ كَانَ وَلَا بُدَّ فَعِلْ فَثُلُثُ لِطَعَامِهِ. 1/3 of your stomach should be for the food, and 1/3 should be for the drink, and spare the last 1/3 for the air, for your breath. Do we know how big is our stomach so we can divide it into 3 portions? The meaning is that do not eat too much. Do not sit on the table until you feel like you're full. A lot of people, when somebody hears them, when somebody says, hey, eat some more, he says, well, the food is up to here. Which means not only that he filled the stomach, but the esophagus and the food is about to be refluxed, to come out of his throat. So the Prophet ﷺ said, be moderate in eating, be moderate in drinking. This is the meaning of the hadith. Some people who sometimes do work with us, they work out. MashaAllah, they inflate their muscles. And what they do is they spend hours and hours every day in working out. So working out has not become simply exercise to maintain good health and good shape. No, it has become a mean of showing off, inflating their muscles, in addition to taking some powders and amino acids so that they look bigger. This is not the objective of a believer. This is not the objective of the believer. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم says, المؤمن القوي خير وأحب إلى الله من المؤمن الضعيف. A believer who is strong is dearer and closer to Allah than the weak ones. وفي كل خير. So strength is in health, is in being capable to support those who are weak financially and physically. That's great. When people divert this from doing this for the sake of Allah, to be able to help yourself and help others, to take this as a task that you do on a daily basis or regular basis to see how much muscles you put and how much you inflated your body. That's called riya, showing off. You are pleased when people say, look at his muscles, especially when you hear it from a female. Then you came out of the purpose of exercising to maintain yourself in a good shape, to maintain a good heart, to maintain good blood pressure, and all of that. It is very unfortunate. A lot of youth now are completely occupied with exercising for this purpose. I deal with the youth, and it is very unfortunate. We go to the gym, we exercise, we jog, but we do this in order to maintain our health. So some of those whom I met, that they eat certain types of food, they buy the cans, very expensive. He says, I don't like it, I hate it, but he eats that much every day, 3 or 4 cans. Why? Because it is essential for building up his muscles. Even the eating habits was not has not become for the purpose of eating, of maintaining your health, maintaining your life. No, rather in order to grow up muscles, to look muscular, to look powerful before people. If this is the purpose, then guess what? This is all in vain. And this is all rejected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In as-salah, the prayer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala condemned those who pray to show off. He says, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَهُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَعُونَ. You do not eat in order to grow muscular bodies. You eat in order to maintain your life and maintain good health. That's why you are very careful with what you eat. You eat healthy food. You eat very moderate. This is the sunnah if you wish to follow the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Jazakumullahu khair. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Wafa, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Ask Huda.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Sheikh Muhammad, and how is your family?
Alhamdulillah, fine. Thank you for asking. Barakallah.
Jazakumullah khairan. I have a question. I was talking about with someone who dear to me, and we are talking about the permissibility of entering the churches for the Muslim. Is it allowed or not? I mean what they call it archaeological or historical churches. In Egypt or in any other country. And what about those who study archaeology? Is it allowed for them to enter the churches?
Okay.
And if the reason is tourism, just tourism, is okay or not?
Okay. Wajazakum. Thank you, Sister Wafa from Egypt. Assalamu alaikum. I got a call from Pakistan. Assalamu alaikum. Asif from Pakistan. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. I need to put one question.
No.
My question is, what is the right way to perform ruqya?
Okay.
Yes, I have one question.
Second question.
No, I have only one question.
Okay. Thank you, Asif from Pakistan. Sister Fatima from the KSA. Tawaf al-Wada' for people who are living in Jeddah. Tawaf al-Wada' is mandatory only if you're performing Hajj, not Umrah. And whether you're living in Jeddah or living in Medina or living anywhere outside al-Miqat, outside the al-Miqat. Second question, she said about the person who's performing Umrah or Umrah for a sick person and an elderly one. Well, the question seems incomplete. But if the person is sick, if the person is old enough not to be able to perform Hajj, it has been narrated in the hadith that a woman said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, O Prophet of Allah, inna faridat al-Hajj adrakat abi, that the mandate of performing Hajj now is due upon my dad while he's an old man. لا يستقر على رحلة. He cannot sit still on the back of a ride. So he cannot travel, he cannot perform Hajj. Do I perform Hajj on his behalf? He approved that, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. If the person can travel and is willing to perform the tawaf and the sa'i on a wheelchair with the assistance of others, that is definitely permissible. If any person does not feel healthy enough to walk, to perform tawaf or to perform sa'i, he can simply sit on a wheelchair and the reward is the same, inshaAllah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Sister Mariam from Brazil.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Mariam.
Yes, Sheikh, I would like to ask you a question, in fact, regarding to marriage.
Okay.
I'm just a new revert, okay? And, well, alhamdulillah, I married as a second wife from an Egyptian man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And, in fact, when we made the marriage contract, it was supposed to be totally different of what is being proposed now.
Mm.
Do it to his first wife and the family which doesn't accept. He removed all my rights and told I should accept if I want to continue with him. So what I want to ask for you is different. And actually, I fall sick, and he wants to remove all my right, all my days. And, well, I don't know exactly what to do according to the Quran and Sunnah. Should I accept this, or should he change the way he is treating to me?
So, Sister Maryam, when you married that person, that gentleman, you were a second wife, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You're right.
You agreed that he's going to spend certain number of days with you a week.
We did agree it will be equal.
Okay. Now he wants to change.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a reason?
Yes. The reason is he says the Egyptian society and the family of the wife does not agree, and for this reason he cannot maintain what we had agreed in previous.
Okay. How long you been married?
Around 6 months, 7 months.
7 months. Okay. Thank you. Got it, Sister Maryam. We'll answer you, inshallah. Thank you, Sister Maryam. Our dear Sister Fatima from the case A asked about fasting the 6 days of Shawwal. She, alhamdulillah, managed to make up the missed days of Ramadan, and she already started fasting the 6 days of Shawwal, but she entirely forgot to get a permission from her husband, since this is a voluntary fasting. Only on the second day at noon. Is her fasting valid? Yes, the fasting is valid. The hadith says, لا تصوم المرأة وزوجها شاهد إلا بإذنه, means that a woman should not observe a voluntary fasting while the husband is present, he's not traveling, unless if she gets a permission from him. You understand the reason. So that if he has a desire to have an intimate relationship with her during the day, that she would not present this as an excuse. Sorry, because I'm fasting, I cannot do that. What if there is a mutual understanding, and that is something that you do it on regular basis or routine basis at night, or he doesn't mind your fasting, he wouldn't object to that, then this is perfectly fasting. I wouldn't have to get a permission for each day of fasting, unless if the person, like, he travels back and forth and he's coming today. Then he arrives and he is, in deep need to have an intimate relationship with his wife, and she says, sorry, I'm fasting. That is not proper. If the person, the husband, is giving her absolute freedom to fast and no problem, she doesn't have to get a permission each time that she observes a voluntary fasting. So now, in your case, there is no problem. And if the wife was fasting a voluntary fasting, and she finds out that the husband needs to have an intimate relationship with her, she can skip the day of fasting. But your fasting is valid, Sister Fatima, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from all of us. And thank you for bringing this hadith and this hukm to our attention. Many people do not pay attention to that. Sister Wafa asked about entering the churches and the patriarchs in order to study archaeology, or as a tourist. Is there any problem with that? No, it is not forbidden. What is forbidden is to enter a church and attend the service, and to sit while the service, the act of worship, is being presented, where people invoking other than Allah the Almighty, and you're being one of the gathering. This is not permissible. But for any other reason, to give the condolence, to congratulate people, to attend a meeting, to study archaeology, like in ancient churches, and as a tourist, there is no problem. Barakallahu feekum, and may Allah teach us what we do not know. Sister Asif from Pakistan asked about how to perform a proper ruqyah. If you want to perform ruqyah for yourself, simply, if there is a pain or a body part that is aching, you place your right palm on it, and after reciting al-basmala, al-isti'ada, you can say 7 times I seek refuge in the perfect words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the evil of what I find and what I fear. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من شر ما أجد وأحاذر. You can recite any chapter of the Quran if you want as means of ruqya. We mentioned before that Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anh, whenever he would recite ruqya, ruqya is an invocation for protection against evil, or whenever the person is aching or is experiencing hardship, so you recite ruqya in order to give him a relief. You do it for yourself, you do it for others. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to recite the ruqya upon his grandsons Al-Hasan wal-Husayn as follows. He used to say, أعيذكما بكلمات الله التامة من كل شيطان وهامة ومن كل عين لامة ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. Perfect means of ruqya, mashallah, to seek refuge in the perfect words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the evil of Satan, the evil of harmful insects and animals, from the evil of the enviers whenever they envy. And he kept reciting this ruqya until he received the last two chapters of the Quran, 113 and 114, which are known as Al-Mu'awwidhatayn. Al-Mu'awwidhatayn, dual of Mu'awwidha. And Mu'awwidha is a mean of seeking protection. And it is in the feminine because it's a surah chapter. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ and قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. So he started reciting these surahs upon his grandsons as they are the best means of protection. Ayatul Kursi and the last three chapters of the Quran, Surah Al-Fatiha, as we mentioned earlier, in addition to any part of the Quran. There are certain times where the Prophet ﷺ prescribed ruqya. You do it on a regular basis before going to sleep when you summon your hands and you recite Al-Mu'awwidhat, the last three chapters 3 times. Then you wipe over your body with your hands. When you recite Ayatul Kursi before you go to sleep, that's a ruqya as well. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Muhammad from the KSA.
Thank you, Sheikh.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. How are you, Sheikh?
Fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking.
Sheikh, I have a question. According to my understanding, the people used to say, especially if you are during Ramadan timing, if you are in Makkah, it is more rewarding, and as well as each deed, it will be counted 70 times. So that will be around 7 million times worth reward. Is that correct? I just want to have a clarification. Okay. And my second question is, Sheikh, for example, if the ladies going for the Makkah, if they have menstruation and is allowed to take the pills to delay the menstruation during their Umrah timing.
Okay.
Thank you, Sheikh.
Thank you, Brother Muhammad. Sister Maryam, I'd love to answer your question now, but I prefer to postpone it after the break, inshallah. I'd like to have a talk with you and your spouse. But before we wrap it up and we take a short break, there is also another means of doing ruqya where you can recite the Quran on a glass of water, and it would be lovely if this water is water of Zamzam. You recite, then you drink. If you recite Surah Al-Fatiha on a glass of water and you recite it 3 times and you drink, this is a great means of ruqya, a great means of healing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَلَا يَزِيدُ الظَّالِمِينَ إِلَّا خَسَارًا. The Quran is the best means of cure. Is it a cure for only moral ailments, moral diseases, psychological disorders, or also for physiological disorders and sickness? For all. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not specify. وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ. Shifa, cure for every disease. And there are, other than that, other means of cure, such as honey, and such as hijama, cupping. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, الشفاء في ثلاثة. The cure is in 3 things. Because sometimes we recite ruqya because the person is sick. So along with the ruqya, there are other means such as drinking honey. And it is called drink because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, شَرَابٌ مُخْتَلِفٌ أَلْوَانُ. So it is a drink. You dilute it and you drink it. And you recite the Quran upon it as well. The dates, the ajwa of the awali of Medina, the 7 dates that you eat in the morning, also the best means of protection against sorcery and magic for the day, during the day, as the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's take a short break, and inshallah we'll come back with you in a couple of minutes. Please stay tuned.
TV is pleased to announce the launching of its first mobile phone application on all iOS and Android-based devices. Browse your phone store for our new app under the name of Huda TV. Huda app delivers a bunch of amazing and versatile services to our fans and viewers worldwide. You can watch our live streaming on the move, surf our large archive of categorized articles, benefit from our daily supplications askar that every Muslim should recite throughout the day. Just tap on any item of the askar list and it will take you to the specific supplication it indicates to. Need to know the broadcast time of your favorite program? Just click to broadcast schedule for specific details. Huda app allows users to browse the gems of Huda TV website where they can enjoy our telemedia services by watching thousands of video clips, plenty of audio clips featuring invocations, nasheeds and audio themes of our favorite programs. Go back to the index page and check upon what is going on at Huda TV by visiting ever-updated Huda News. Get to know the profiles of Huda stars and never forget to tap on our behind-the-scenes button for exploring our backstage activities. It's also worthy to check upon Huda's pages on social media websites and enjoy our awesome posts and sharing. Download Huda TV's app now and live our world of authentic Islamically themed educational knowledge. Huda TV brings light to every smartphone.
Welcome to Cosmic Proof, the one and only program that leads you to the truth wherever it is, for my sake and your sake.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. Sister Maryam, the Brazilian sister who said that she is a revert and she married somebody as a second wife, and they made an agreement that he is going to spend with her certain number of days a week, and now he wants to change his promise because he said that his wife's family, his first wife's family, are very strict and they would not allow that. I would say you should have told her that from the beginning. And you should have told her that you cannot do that without informing your first wife. And this is an advice to every woman whom somebody is suggesting to her or proposing to her to marry her as a second wife, that you should not accept this marriage without knowing that this man is capable to take a second wife, legally, financially, and socially. I mean, these conditions to secure your marriage. If the person says, I will not be able to inform my wife now because it will be shocking for her, but down the road, well, let's wait until you are capable to tell her. Because if you're not capable to tell her now, then later on she finds out and you are not strong enough to confront the condition with the reality, then you're going to sacrifice your second wife. You're going to say, I'm sorry, I have to tell them that I divorced you, or I will have to divorce you. So the second wife is the one who pays the bill. And this is not fair. Secondly, النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم said, المؤمنون عند شروطهم. The believers must abide by the conditions that they take upon themselves. والمشروط شرطا كالمعروف عرفا. If you agreed from the beginning that you are going to spend 3 days or every other day with her, you must stick to your promise. والذين هم لأماناتهم وعهدهم راعون. Not because the girl is a revert and she does not have a family and you may think that she is in need for you because you're supporting her financially. We're all in need for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we are in need to be the good representatives of our deen, of our religion. I don't know the brother, so I'm talking in general. Yesterday, I had one sister, alhamdulillah, accepted Islam. And she, amongst what she said that she would love to accept Islam, but what is stopping her from accepting Islam is the behavior of many Muslims, including her husband. So she says, I'm convinced, I read the Quran, and I think I'm ready. But the behavior of some Muslims, especially those who are close to the person, that hinders them from accepting Islam. You see what you do to yourselves, what you do to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as we know that Islam spread to most countries, not through campaigns and military invasions, but rather through the Muslim merchants and their good manners, maintaining the manners of the Quran. It is true that it is not required to neither inform the first wife nor to get her permission legally for the second contract to be valid, but I'm requesting a wife who is proposed to be a second wife to make certain that his first wife knows that he is going to take a second wife. And he has to have enough courage to face the reality and tell his wife or his family, then I need to take a second wife for whatever reason. So that if they get married, he doesn't have to lie. How would you justify being absent 3 days a week? All of a sudden, you are a married person, you have regular routine to come back to work you go to work from 8 to 5 and you come back home and you sit with your family. Now all of a sudden you disappear, half of the time. Why? Why do you do? The first wife, she would start suspecting there is something. She would ask him, and he would make lies until he is capable to tell her or until she finds out. We see and face a lot of stories like that. And lying is one of the worst sins. Why do you do that? If you don't have enough courage, if you don't have the guts to face your wife, to tell her that you're getting married and you're going to do this and this and that, and you're going to spare some of your earning to support the second wife, don't do it. Do not wrong others. Do not be unjust to others. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to what is best. So my advice to your husband, sister, that he should stick to his promise. And it is his problem to explain to his wife and her family that I'm married legally and shar'i, and this is my right, and I made a promise I have to fulfill. It is definitely up to you. If you want to give up on some of your rights, that is entirely up to you. But you don't have to do that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yusuf from Sierra Leone.
Yes, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Yusuf, welcome to Ask Huda.
Yeah, Sheikh, I want to know about the Qibla, the direction of the Qibla. Is it a point or is it a range? Say, for example, plus or minus 2. Let's say, for example, you are using compass and they say the direction of the Qibla is 67.5 degrees,
okay,
not clockwise.
Yeah.
Should it be a range?
The Qibla, it depends on where you're at. People who are in the Haram area, they must face the Kaaba. So they must be exactly in line of facing the Kaaba. People who are outside the Haram, it will be sufficient for them to face the Haram. People who are outside Mecca, then facing Mecca will be sufficient. That's why if you have a compass and it says the Qibla is 35 degree, 35.2, why don't you adjust it exactly 35.2 0.2. As long as you're able to. If there is 1 degree off here or there, accidentally, that is pardoned. But what is not pardoned? When the person knows that the Qibla is way off, and he deliberately still prays otherwise. Why? Because the building is facing this Qibla. It's like, 5-7 degrees, no big deal. Yes, I was invited to give a khutbah in Detroit, in one masjid. And before I go, I heard that the Qibla is way off. Why? Because when they constructed the masjid, they thought this is the Qibla. Now they realize that it is not the Qibla. So they said, no big deal. I said, I will not be able to lead the prayer in such masjid. And if I do give the khutbah, whenever it comes to leading the prayer, I would use my compass and I would say, here's the Qibla, pray behind me towards the Qibla. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Abdul Hadi from the KSA.
Yes, assalamu alaikum, yes, sir.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm always very glad to talk to you through this program, alhamdulillah.
Likewise, jazakallah khair.
Alhamdulillah. Sheikh, I have a question regarding from the Surah Al-Anbiya, chapter 21, verse 35. It says that every soul we taste that, and we test you with evil and with good as trial. So, can you clarify these evil things here? Because this is my belief, is Allah is the very compassionate, the very merciful. So, this word that comes from the Quran, which is evil.
Okay.
I don't know. Can you explain to
Absolutely.
How do we understand this word, evil?
Okay.
The Safra.
Well, the ayah says, Surah Al-Anbiya, in Surah Al-Anbiya, Allah the Almighty says, وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ وَالْخَيْرِ فِتْنَةً وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ وَالْخَيْرِ فِتْنَةً وَإِلَيْنَا تُرْجَعُونَ. Verse number 35, chapter Al-Anbiya. What does it mean? The ayah begins with the following statement: every soul shall taste death. And in between life and death, the first death, we will continue to try you, to test you with what is evil and with what is good. Why? These are all means of test. The purpose of this ayah is to tell you that when you get sick, that's a test. Sickness, nobody likes sickness. So people perceive sickness as evil, don't you? When you're driving and you get a flat tire and the car flips over, what do you think of this? That's evil, right? That's a test. And when somebody is promoted and his salary is doubled, then he thinks that that's a khair, that's a good thing, that I am promoted, my salary have increased, I made that much money. And the perception of people to what is good and what is bad varies. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one who knows what is good and what is bad. So whenever you're afflicted with what you think it is bad, or whenever you're afflicted with what you think that it is good, you have to keep in mind that it is simply a means of test. So Allah tests somebody with the means of richness. He makes him rich. Why? To see how is he going to dispense his wealth, fulfill his rights, recognize the poor's rights in his wealth, take care of his family and kinship, or not. Somebody else is tested with the opposite, with poverty. So Allah would test him to verify, and he already knows, but this is to verify whether he's going to be patient or not. So one will be tested to verify his patience, and one will be tested to verify his gratitude and thankfulness. And sometimes what you think is bad is nothing but what is good for you, what is best for you. And sometimes what you think it is good for you, it is nothing but what is terrible for you. And that's why he says in another ayah, وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. فَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. وَعَسَىٰ أَن تُحِبُّوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ شَرٌّ لَكُمْ. It may be that you dislike something while Allah has planted in what you disliked a great deal of goodness. And you may love something while it is bad for you. And who knows? Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why we are recommended to consult Allah before making serious choices through the means of al-istikhara. Now I want to take you to the ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also used the word al-ibtila, al-ikhtibar, tests and trials, where he confirmed his promise with various means of confirmations. Al-lam lil-qasam. And he says, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. He said, we shall definitely try you with the means of the following. Some of fear. Fear is good or bad? Bad. شيء من الخوف والجوع, hunger, good or bad? Bad. نقص من الأنفس والثمرات, shortage and loss of lives and fruits, drought, hunger, starvation. ونقص من الأموال, and a lack of fund, of money, adversity. Oh, these are all means of bad tests, bad trials. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, by the end of promising that everyone will be tested, every human being will be tried by these means of tests and trials, fear, hunger, loss of properties, loss of lives, loved ones, and all of that. وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. So the evil can be converted into good if the person observes these means patiently. Whatever bad or good happens in this life only happens by His leave. So why would the bad happen? Now we understand. It's a test. It's a trial. Imagine if people are all living happily, if people are all rich and prosper, they do not get sick, they do not die. Well, basically you're talking about angels. But we're human beings. And life for us is nothing but a test. That's why He said in the ayah 35 of Surah Al-Anbiya, كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. He reminded us by saying that, if you feel very bad in this life, it's going to be short. Every soul shall taste death. This morning, I returned from a long journey. Then I went to visit my mother, and I couldn't sleep. It was extremely hot. I didn't have air condition. And it was like, I was like sleeping in an oven, subhanallah. So I don't know what to do. I got a headache. But every time I flip to the right or I flip to the left and it's very hot, I think about one thing. How many innocent people are being behind bars? Many of those people are huffaz, memorize the whole Quran. True scholars, physicians, doctors, scientists, but wrongfully they are being put behind bars, arrested. And those people do not have even the luxury of having a fan. I have a fan, they don't. And they are being condensed like salmon fish, like sardines in a lower can. So all what I was thinking about it is those people, how much suffering they have. And that made my suffering insignificant. As I was talking to somebody who is not a scholar, he said, Ya Sheikh, don't feel sorry because by this test, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remits them their sins. I said, but many of them die. He said, even if they die as shuhada. You guys are the ones who teach us that. I just wanted to share with you that even when people are being tested by the means of unjust people, by oppressors, and they're good people, but they're oppressed, they're hurt. Even if they die as shuhada. And this evil, this shar, this test, this bad condition they were, turns into an eternal life in heaven. So that is the price. That's why He began by saying, كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us toward His best and make us merciful towards one another. Make us united and love one another. Brothers and sisters, by that we come to the end of today's edition of your program. As Huda, until next episode, I leave you all in the care of Allah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me